Hi there, today I'm going to show you how to attach plastic cladding in a shower. So this particular shower has had a few leaks, and obviously the weak point here is the strip we have here all the way around. So I did look into a couple of options for this, but I think the best option is to permanently fix this is to remove these tiles, not all of them, just up to I guess the line just there. Remove all of those and then leave these tiles and stick a plastic cladding on top of that. So then you'll have no weak points. So let me take the shower screen off first and remove the taps as well. And then initially I'm going to attempt to take this off somehow. So let me do that in the meantime. Then I can show you the next phase. Okay, so we've got the shower screen removed, which is there. See the mess that's left behind, all the silicone that's gone on there. So next thing is, we'll remove the shower rail and the taps. So I'll get those moved out of the way so we've got a clear area to work. Okay, the shower rail's out, obviously the shower screen. Quite interesting seeing this, the bottom of the shower rail, lots of rust and a lot of water entered it. So probably a good idea to silicone these things when you do them. The taps are out as well. So next I'll show, I'm going to get a multi-cutter and start cutting straight up here, you know, and the cut-off point will be here, and then we can work at taking the strap off, sorry, the seal just over here, and then see if we can take the seal off around there. Okay, we've got the multi-cutter. We'll turn it on. Nice clean cuts in there, so let me do the rest of it and I'll show what it looks like. Okay, so I've gone into the side of the tile here as well, and I've used a pry bar to pry the tile out. Some of them are coming away already quite easily, so let me use this. Oh, and there you go, tile just popped off. So let me clear these tiles and then I'll show you what it looks like. But the multi-cutter is really good to get the grout out and then just pop the tiles off. Okay, so we've got the tiles off the area, as you can see. Quite nice and cleanly it's come away. A couple of things to note, make sure you go all the way through. Some of it is slightly loose and moving, but I can put a bit of adhesive into the end, hopefully to stop that. So there you go, let me clean this up now, and you can see all the damp spots that have appeared, obviously where more than likely the tiles have sort of failed. They've got water going through the actual grout. So let me clean this area up and then I'll make a start on removing this and see if I can take it all the way along. Okay, so the area is all cleaned up. I pulled some of the plaster off that was loose. So just here, so it just needs a re-skim, but we'll let it dry out a little bit. And I've managed to pull out the plastic strip that was around the bath, so that's good. So I'll just stop at the strip at the end, and obviously the water panel or the splash panel can sit straight on top of this flush. So it's not too bad, it comes out about 1 centimetre. So let me clear up the silicone around this sort of area, straighten it up, and then we can just begin on just preparing the walls, maybe trying to dry them somehow. Okay, so we've had a good clean up. What I've done is remove the silicone around the bath as well, and I'll refit that. As well as that, we'll remove the fan and the vent we've just got there. and we'll do a clean up bit more of the wall, just wipe it down and stuff, and the tiles as well in preparation for the actual panels to go on. But yeah, initially I'm just going to get silicone put in just around, just to re-secure the bath. Okay, so we've just PVA'd the wall, and I'm just going to quickly give it an initial skim of multi-finish plaster, just to level it off, as in it's not very level now. I think we could probably get away with not doing that, but just for consistency, let me just do it. Okay, so I've completed skimming the area. There you go, just to level it off again, and we'll just leave it to dry now. I've got a dehumidifier here, so I'll leave that running, and hopefully that should help with all the water that's sort of dripped here and there. So we'll leave that, and I'll show the next stage when it's getting close to dry. Okay, so next day now, and the plaster's nicely drying. So my next stage is to start fitting and cutting the actual panels. So the first thing I need to do is this corner bead. So it's an inner corner bead. So I've cut this and I've fitted it into the corner, as you can see. So what's quite good about this is it's not completely square, there's a gap in the middle. So the idea being, if the walls aren't perfectly square, then at least it will easily fit in. So really good, quite straightforward to fit. Measured a couple of times and over measured slightly initially, intentionally, so I could get quite a tight fit on that. So just to show. And also I've put silicone around the bath as well. So I'll let that dry, and I'm going to put some bonding plaster in there just to level it off in a bit. But the corner isn't glued in any way, it's just fitted in a temporary basis, so it's just slotted in. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start cutting the actual panel now. So the ceiling itself, it isn't level. So I've stuck some paper from one end to another. The panel is 1 meter 2 centimeters exactly. So I've marked a faint line on there, so we know the first panel is going to come up to there. And then I've taped the paper up, and I've just sort of scored the line a little bit, just to give the actual indication of how it sort of turns and things. So let me get that prepped up, and I'll begin to cut the actual panel. Okay, so here we have the actual panel we're going to install. So just to show, on the template I've marked where the fan goes. That's where it sort of roughly comes, so I'll just cut along there. And an interesting thing, the actual corner bead, if I slot that on, see, I'm not too happy about this distance in between things, so I'm going to chop this lip off. That just comes up to the edge. So I'll just cut that with a multi-cutter. And just to show, it would actually be better if it fits further in, like so. So yeah, I'm just going to cut that, like I say, and then I'll start on just cutting along the actual template. Okay, just to show, the lip's been cut off at the end of the panel, so the fitting is much better now. And just to show the technique I used, literally held a multi-cutter and just worked inwards all the way. There you go. Once it's glued, should be quite a good seal. And then that's how much has been cut off. It's quite good that there's a slight edge on there, so it makes it slightly easier to cut. Okay, so one panel's been cut cut wise it's not too bad. Try to get it as close to the edging at the top as possible. So with a bit of silicone bead it should be nicely sealed off. Got the fan hole done as well. So just use the multi-cutter to do that as well. Okay, so that one's done. Now let me begin on the next one, which is this. So similar process again, but this time we'll just measure the distance between there and there. We'll do it in the middle and the top as well, and then obviously the height. And we'll do a similar thing with the actual template. Okay, so the second panel's in now. If you see, there you go. This was more tricky to put in, so I've had to chop quite a lot along the top and the sides just to give me enough leeway to slot it in. Got a slight gap underneath, but that can easily be filled with silicone. But yeah, very, very tricky really, just to get that angle, and obviously with the bath having that lip just there, it doesn't help either. So there you go, not too bad really. Got the holes for the vent as well there, and the fan now, so all good. Okay, so I've taken the panels off. Now one thing I do want to do is just seal this gap up a bit more. So I've mixed some bonding plaster and I'll slowly just work it into the area. I put the tape there, so it just makes less of a mess. Just grab a little bit like that, and again, just like that. I'll just work it into the area. Just gives that additional seal, hopefully just to help secure things permanently. So let me carry on with that and I'll show it once it's filled. So there you go, the bonding's on and I've sealed the gap all the way around. So a combination of the silicone and obviously the bonding should give a good seal, and obviously we're going to get more silicone on there once the panels are on. So there's the existing silicone I filled in, which is drying up, or dried, sorry I should say. There you go. So we'll just continue to let this dry out now, and then we can make a start on cutting this out and then finally sticking them. Okay, so the plaster's dried up completely now, as you can see. So the next stage is I'm just going to put some PVA on this, so just give a better surface for the actual panels to stick. And just to show, just little bits of bonding I put some of the gaps, so it's all fine. Okay, so let me start that, get it PVA'd up, and then we can start cutting the panel for that area. Okay, PVA is mixed up and painted on. There you go, we'll just leave to dry. And what I'm going to start doing is getting a large sheet of cardboard and just building a template of this area of the wall to just make it easier to cut. I'll show that once the template's built. Okay, so I've cut a piece of cardboard roughly to the size. Now, I'm just going to get in there and just sort of line it up a bit better. So I'll cut this out fairly, a rough sort of estimate to where it is. I'll cut to the side here as well, and there we'll have our template. Okay, I've put the side plastic strip in, put the cardboard right into the gap, and there you go. Template's done. So now I can just place it straight onto the plastic to show. I'll just bring it in a slightly bit more on this side when I actually cut it. But yeah, you step back so you can see. Yep, so let's just get this marked up and we can cut it out. So the panels came with some grab adhesive, so I've just put it onto the actual strip for the corner. Let's get that secured on, just like so. push that on. Just leave that for a bit just to stick firmly to the wall. Okay, so I'll put a little bit of adhesive on the two boards, and I'll put the bulk of it onto the wall. And now I'm just going to press the boards onto the wall. Got silicone bead going into the gap as well. Silicone going along the edge of the bath. So let me carry on doing that. I pushed one board in, you can see the silicone coming out. It is sticking, so the next thing is I'm going to put some silicone in the gap here, then push the next board in. Okay, two boards are in now, they're sealed. I've siliconed around the edges, as you can see, thick bead of silicone. Just let that dry and I'll do another bead around there as well. Done a bead around there. Just preparing this one now, this board. So, slightly off, as you can see. I've slid it in, and obviously there's a gap there, and it tails off at the top. So I'm going to just trim a little bit at an angle coming up. Let's just see how we get on with that. So far so good. I've put the old grill in. There was a little bit of bounce in that corner. I'll replace it at another time, but for now it will just help hold the board in so the adhesive sticks. Okay, so we have the final piece cut to size. Now what I'm going to do, I've got some joining strip, so I've actually, using the multi-cutter, just sliced half of it off. So if I show a bit of a better angle, see just half of it's there. So that will allow me to give a flush finish just there. So it will clip in just there, and just finish it off like that. Avoid any additional work. So there you go. Let me get it prepped up and get it glued on. Okay, we've put a load of adhesive onto the board, into the gap, loads and loads of it, and another bead on here. So let me place the board on there now and slide it in. So the board's on, the actual panel itself. What I found, there was a bit of play in this area, so I thought let me put the taps on and wedge some plastic in there just to push it along a little bit more. And the other thing I've done, I've just wedged in a spirit level just to push it against the wall. So not too bad, really. Filled up the top as well and just added a bit more silicone to the edges, so it's just a matter of now, I guess, leaving it to dry. So there you go, finish ain't too bad with the edge, with the existing tile, so that's worked out quite well. So yeah, we'll just leave it to dry, then I'll show you the next step. Okay, so it's been 24 hours now. I've removed the actual plastic I had behind here, and it's quite firmly secured now, so there's no play on there, so it's quite good. So just need to put a thin bead going underneath the actual panel here, but we won't do the outside bit. We won't put any silicone there yet, and we'll get the dusty bits out of the way as well, like getting the shower rail in and the shower screen. But no, it's looking good, quite solid now, so perfect, and good getting the finish on the edge, so it just ends it quite nicely. Okay, so I fitted the shower, I fitted the shower screen, and I've done the final bit of silicone on the panel all the way around the bath. So just to show, there you go. I'll let the silicone dry before I fit the taps, and then we're good to go. Okay, now we've completed fitting the cladding, fitting a shower screen and the actual shower and the taps as well. just to show you the finish. Very nice clean finish to it. And there you go. Hope this has helped anyone thinking of doing a similar thing. Thanks for viewing, and don't forget to like and subscribe.